Good morning and welcome to Coffee with G. And look, I've even got my coffee this morning. We're one step ahead of last week. Good start. Firstly, I would like to say a public apology. I lied to you in last week's video and that is appalling behaviour. To the question, what was the last sport you played? I replied, do I look like the sort of person who plays sport? Well, actually I am the sort of person who plays sport. My friend pointed out that I lied to you and I actually had played rounders about 3 weeks ago. So I revoke my answer and I would like to say that I played rounders and I was blooming good at it. So let's move along to today's topic. A lot of you have written and asked about writing, and it's such a broad topic, like how do you get into writing, what inspires you, what's your day-to-day routine. So I thought I'd pick the first bit of that and tell you how I got into writing. It's not conventional. I didn't follow a step-by-step guide into how to get into it. It's probably going to be useless actually to a lot of you if that's what you wanted to do, but it might be inspiring if you're not quite sure what you want to do. Let's see how it goes. Firstly, I'm a trained actress. I went to Sylvia Young Theatre School when I was younger, that's where I met Tom, and then I went to Rose Bruford College. And after that, I did some acting work, I did a lot of chaperoning work where I looked after children in theatre, and then I suddenly thought, you know what, I actually need something else, something to do while I'm not acting that's going to keep me happy. Because, it can be quite draining, it can be uninspiring, it can be quite dampening when you're not doing the thing that you want to do and the thing that you love. The first thing that I actually started writing was a little book called Dating McFly is for Dummies, which is exactly what it sounds like. It was literally a step-by-step guide on how to date a McFly guy and how to be the perfect McGirl. And I didn't think anything was going to come of it. I didn't really want anything to come of it. It was more for me to get my creative juices flowing and poke a bit of fun at myself, and that's what that whole book was actually. And it's not out there, nothing ever happened with it. It sat in my loft somewhere, probably being eaten by mice. But what that book did was it got me writing. And that was the start of it all, really. From then I did some work experience at Heat magazine, I did some reviews for them, and then I carried on doing little bits of work for them. I carried on doing their book reviews, and then I worked for their website every Wednesday night for over a year and a half. So that kept me writing and kept me getting used to using my words down on paper, and I'm much better at using my words on paper than I am actually at talking out loud. So this is why vlogging is a whole new experience for me. From then, I then went to do an internship at Bliss magazine and also a magazine called Recognise. While I was doing my book reviews, I was invited along to a book launch called From Notting Hill with Love Actually by Ali McNamara. I can't say her name! I was getting the book, 1 second. That's the book I was asked to review for my blog actually, and not even for the magazine, it was for my blog. And I reviewed it and Ali read it and she said to me, would you like to come along to my book launch? And I was like, hell yeah! So I went along, and then I met a lovely lady called Hannah who happened to be her agent. And Hannah had been reading my blog and she asked me if I'd ever thought about writing myself. I mean, I am the biggest bookworm there is, as you can tell by my backdrop. I love books. I always have. My nose was always in a book growing up. The family would gather around and watch TV and I'd be sat there with a book trying desperately to read it with the light from the TV. Much to the annoyance of my parents. Books have always been a massive part of my life, but I never really thought that I could do it. I never thought that I was intelligent enough, maybe. I did an acting degree. I thought it was something that was completely out of my reach. Obviously, becoming an author and writing would be something amazing. I just wasn't sure if I was up for the job. It wasn't until I was actually out for lunch with another author called Dorothy Coomson. You should read her books, they are amazing, and actually she's one of my biggest inspirations. She didn't even know that I was even thinking about writing, but she said the one thing that the majority of people say to her when they say that she's an author is, oh, I wish I could write, I wish I could, sit down and put pen to paper. And she said to me, I just want to say to them, write. If that's what you want to do, nothing can happen until you sit down and write. And I listened to her, and that day, I just went home and I started doing it. I started writing. I wrote down 3 different summaries, 3 completely different stories. I sent them all off to Hannah and was like, look, I'm inspired. Let's see where this goes, let's just start, and if it all falls to pot, that's fine, I've not lost anything, I'd had nothing to lose anyway, let's just do it. And I started writing it. Just me, sat in my office, no real clue over how to write a book, I just trusted my instincts and I just went with the flow for my first draft. Once it was finished, I sent it off to Hannah, and she said, can I now be your agent? And I was like, yes please. She sent it out to loads of different publishers, and actually that is the tough bit. You're waiting for a month for someone to get back to you, anyone to get back to you, because they get so many books. They must get piles and piles and piles of books submitted to them every day, and how do you make yours stand out? It was a long wait. And then finally Hannah phoned me one day and she said, Penguin would like to see you. They'd like to have you in for a meeting. So in we went to the Penguin offices, and as soon as we opened the door, there was tea and coffee, and there were also cupcakes. So they kind of won me over straight away with the cupcakes. Clever, 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 clever people. What do you give G? Cake. What was really interesting for me in that meeting is that I didn't feel like they were looking at my book and wanting to change everything. They were trying to develop it. They were trying to make it into the best book that it could be. I said from the start, even talking to Hannah, I want it to be the best book that it can be. So any input, any constructive criticism, I want to hear it, because I want people to read it and be blown away by it, rather than read it and go, yeah, she's probably got this book deal because of who she's married to, which I like to think isn't the case. And so after that meeting, Penguin basically phoned Hannah and said, yep, we'd like to offer you a deal. And that was my journey into getting not only an agent, but a publisher as well. And I'm so pleased with the team that I work with. You know, they're really encouraging, supportive. They go out of their way to make me feel like I'm one of their favourites. And I bet they do that to everyone. I'm not their only favourite. And I will hold my hands up and I would say that I'm really lucky that everything fell into place. I never thought I was going to be an author. I still have dreams of acting, you know, I still see that as very much a part of my future, but now I've got this other thing that runs alongside it that I'm equally as passionate about. I guess the reason why I'm telling you all of that is because dream big. I kind of limited myself until someone else encouraged me, and then I was like, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. So my big thing to you is, if you do want to write, sit down and write. Nothing can happen until you do that. You might have dreams of being a writer, but then sit down and write it and actually hate it. You might be like, actually it's a bit boring being in my imagination all day, I'd rather be with real people, which is great for you. I'm much better being in my imagination personally. Just go for it. Anything in life. You know, don't limit yourself. Be limitless. Like, is it Bradley Cooper in that film? I haven't seen it. Seen the trailer. Be limitless. Be limitless. 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 So go forth and be limitless. Shoot for the stars. Because even if you catch the moon, that's a blooming big thing to catch. So that concludes this week's Coffee with G. I haven't got to say that annoying every time, because I will annoy myself and I wouldn't like things. I'd be unliking that button if I could Coffee with G every time. I need to not be so giddy when I make these videos. So I've got to get back to work. So let's finish this week's Coffee with G. But just know that when I'm not with you, I'm thinking of you, I'm reading the comments and falling in love with each and every one of you for being so lovely and positive back. I do believe that if you spread positivity in life, you'll get positivity back. So if you're nice on these comments, you'll get positivity back. If you're negative, well, boo to you. And if you're sad that that's the end of this week's Coffee with G, have a look at these videos that I'm plonking around. I haven't decided where they're going to be yet, but I know all the cool YouTubers do this, don't they? Hey, it's there. One's there, one's there. And is there one? Oh, is there one there? Possibly. There might even be one up there. Oh, but I'm also going to add Tom's TMI video, because after last week's TMI video, he actually went and made a vlog, people. He made a vlog. I'm also going to add Carrie's TMI video because she started the TMI tag and we didn't know it. See you next week.